morning, everyone. It is 9:33, and this is the Maryland Environmental Services Board of Directors meeting, September 25th, 2025. We do have a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started, and we are going to start this morning with the Inspire Awards. Mr. Ford, are you going to lead?
I sure am.
Thank you.
You have a slide for that?
I'm trying.
There we are. So Montgomery County, one of the tasks that we have, one of the many tasks we have is to maintain, clean, collect, and distribute recycling carts. The county came to us and said that they wanted to change out, have 2,100 recycling carts, and they needed those delivered in 1 week to over 700 homes. And we needed to do this in addition to maintaining our normal routes and normal business. The team got together, they put a plan together, they executed that plan, and were successfully able to distribute those carts on time without any issue. And it was just an incredible feat. And we have 2 representatives today. Unfortunately, the rest of the crew is working today. We couldn't pull them offline. But we do have 2 members today. John Stockard is here and Luis is here. And in addition to that crew, I'm going to name all of them. Joel Lohr is off today. And John Stockard, of course, and Jaime Escobar, Andy Guillen, Sandy Gomez, Marlon Dorsch, and Edison Carrillo. So my hats off to them. The guys are there every single day making it happen. Everybody else was supporting. Joel, Luis, and John, the guys that were every day and made it really happen. I'm fortunate to have 2 of these guys here today. So let's go back and get your photo.
Yeah, there. I see what you said. Please. Oh, please ask. Those represent the board. You say that?
I'm going back.
Come back up. Yeah, move your chair.
I have one comment.
Okay.
Even what's on the board there, not all the people were there. So maybe for the file, it'd be one with everybody in it, 7 or all 9 of them. Rather than the 7 that you
We'll get
had.
that done. We'll get it done.
Okay.
Everybody.
Right, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Take some
You're right now. Hey.
My photo's been going around. Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Keep up the great work.
Take care, everybody. You too. Have a good one.
Drive safe. Appreciate you coming down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You did. Everybody.
Oh, that's nice.
Good crew.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So this Inspire Award is for Miss Pamela McGee. As some of you may know, she is our DEI and EEO officer here at MES. Prior to joining MES, she was with the United States Navy for 23 plus years, and we were lucky to have hired her as soon as she retired from the Navy. Ms. McGee brings tremendous initiative and leadership to MES. She did not really have the benefit of transition from our prior EEO officer. And once she joined, we realized, so as state employees, we are required to comply with certain state mandated trainings. And we weren't sure that everybody was in compliance. So Ms. McGee comes in and she says, everybody's going to go through the training again. I don't care if you've done this before. So she resets the baseline, and that was in December of 2024. And then she told me she's going to get it done in 6 months. After about a month, she says, nope, I'll get all 800 employees trained in 5 months. And then around the 4-month mark in April, she was all done. And this involved traveling across state to different sites, pretty much all over the state, because the certain trainings are required to be in person. So she actually made that happen, and we are in full compliance. But she also took the initiative to take on certain tasks which were not really assigned to her. She took the initiative to get those done. Last year, we had office moves within the headquarters over here. We were running out of space. The space wasn't being utilized very effectively. The administrative group was tasked with making that happen. Ms. McGee stepped up and she took charge of the moves. She did most of the planning and the execution. And now she is our go-to person for any of the office space requirements. In addition to that, when I joined a couple of years ago, one of the initiatives I personally wanted to undertake was the cleanup of our warehouse over here at the headquarters. And I tried and I got sidetracked. And then sometime last year, it fell on Ms. McGee's radar. I never assigned that task to her. The difference between her and I, she made it happen. She got it all done, all cleaned up. In addition to that, she basically has become our special projects person. So she was tasked with, by Dr. Glass, to look at our shift differential policy. And she coordinated with all the groups, all the managing directors, and she made it happen. And that policy was approved by the board earlier this year. So all of these initiatives that she's taken go above and beyond her regular assigned duties as the DEI and EEO officer. She brings a tremendous work ethic to MES. Her mantra is 15 minutes early or you're late. I haven't been to a single meeting with her where she isn't already seated in the conference room. The only one time I actually managed to beat her there was when she and I were in my office and we were walking here to attend a meeting, and I just paced myself and basically so basically, to summarize, she is a tremendous asset to MES and the administrative team. So we thank Ms. McGee for her service and are pleased and honored to present this Inspire Award to her. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Come on over.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay.
You're fine, fine. You want to turn?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
Flag center.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. One more?
Oh, we're good.
We're good. Oh. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of our Inspire Award winners this morning. The minutes from the August 21st, 2025 meeting have been distributed. If there are any suggestions or amendments to be offered, please feel free to do so now. And hearing none, we can assume approval by consent. Thank you. Dr. Glass, Executive Director's Report. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. Next slide. So reporting my lodging while at Mako. Mako was very productive. And it was $1,885.50. Next slide. Highlights of the engagements for me were, and I'll give one public, one private. Lots of meetings with the Maryland Department of Budget and Management related to capital and operating budgets for FY 27. Always living in 3 budget years, so we're closing out 25, we're living in 26, and already doing a lot of planning for 27. Interested in the Board of Revenue estimates later this afternoon. That is made up of the treasurer, the comptroller, and the secretary of DBM, where they will give the forecast, the early forecast of next year, as they build the budget this fall for the state that will be then negotiated over during the legislative session in the spring. So in the winter, spring. So anyway, lots of great engagement. The other one I'd like to highlight, well, 2 I'd like to highlight on the private side. WSSC is trying to put a regional group together for human resources and really seeking operators and seeking engineers. So they're going to have some meetings about that. They've already been working with Baltimore City for a while. And then this firm, small firm called Epcot Crenshaw, who's interested in public-private partnership for biochar production, bringing in gasification. They're already active in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has several projects, and there's a lot going on with PFAS and biosolids, and that will be a major topic during the next legislative session. So those are the highlights from that slide. Next slide. So Deputy Hertz has been doing a lot of engagement, tasked her, so I'll let her highlight one. I didn't even tell her, so she's a speaker. So you want to at least highlight the trip to?
Oh, sure, yeah. So nice to virtually meet those online and be able to be here in person today. So during the early part of September, I traveled to Irvine, California. I have been the chair for a National Cooperative Highway Research Program study, which is focused on transportation asset risk and resilience. The work that we're doing is to develop a methodology and manual for transportation asset owners to use to assess their current infrastructure, inclusive of everything that you would think of for transportation, everything from the human element to the pavement to the structures. And the specific focus relates to natural hazards and threat asset pairings. So pavement, extreme heat or extreme cold, those sorts of things. This was a voluntary role that I took on while at DOT, and it conveys with me regardless of whether or not I still work for transportation. I discussed it with Executive Director Glass prior to coming here, was fully prepared for me to have to take vacation to do that. However, the methodology and the approach that we're using for transportation assets is not different from the approach that we would use for physical infrastructure assets that we currently operate or maintain for the state agencies. It also allows us the ability to provide additional services in the area of risk identification, everything from the energy draw on our grid across Maryland as we start to convert more and more over to electrified vehicles or additional sources of energy. And then also being able to work with the staff here to build up that competency a bit more. So it was a great trip. It was a lot of different DOTs across the nation, and it was an opportunity to meet with subject matter experts.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
Next slide. So hopefully this video is going to work. This might be the director's report that focuses on communications, enhancing our marketing. Is it going to work is the question. So if it doesn't work, we'll move on and we'll make sure we send a link to the board and anyone out there that might be watching us today. We'll get a link to you, but it's a great way to advertise our operator training program. Fingers crossed.
The quality is a little diminished because we're going from YouTube to here to Zoom to YouTube, so.
I love that I get to make a difference every day. We're putting something into the environment that's better than what's there.
It's definitely important. It's one of Earth's resources, and we need it.
I'm basically a protector of the water. I make sure that the water that leaves out is good and treated.
This job will definitely be a good fit for anybody who has energy and has a positive measure when it comes to learning.
We like stop the water flow. This program is amazing. We get trained by licensed operator professionals. If you are a hands-on learner, if you learn on the fly, if you don't mind feeling like the heat is on you, this is the job. Like this is where to be at.
Well, I started in 2007 with MES. I found the job on Craigslist of all places. Just looking for a career, looking for something different. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I started. The only thing I had seen is kind of from Mike Rowe, Discovery Channel, dirty jobs. I figured I might be crawling around in sewers and things like that. And it was nothing like that.
I was told by a co-worker of mine, her son has mentioned to me about this program that can actually follow me into a new career path. So I decided to take the chance.
I found this job by luck, I guess. It was on Indeed. I didn't know actually what I was applying for. I knew it was something in wastewater, but I didn't know what it actually really was. And I applied and got a call 3 hours later.
I was looking at the ETI numbers you took earlier. Air compressor 1, we lost a few hours on there. It didn't run a full 24. So an operator in training is our workhorse. It's the engine of the plant. If we don't have operators in training at our facilities, nothing's going to work for them. They're the ones out there gathering the numbers. They're the ones out there taking the samples, making the adjustments. They're the ones that are making sure those plants are run.
I started out knowing nothing. I knew what pH was, I knew what chemistry and biology was, but I didn't know how it correlates with wastewater. It's more like a school. And it's like, oh, well, I can learn and get paid, so I'm gonna learn.
Their days can vary greatly. They're taking readings, they're checking chemical feeds, they're adjusting chemical feeds, they're working in the lab, they're performing maintenance on equipment, they're jacks of all trades.
Definitely learned a lot for this. I never really took chemistry in school at all. Not until I actually got into this program. It's totally different.
It's a critical job that we do. Most people don't think about water treatment until no water comes out of the faucet. They don't think about wastewater treatment until they go to flush the toilet and it doesn't go down. We work day and night to make sure that these vital services are occurring.
Well, it's a little bit more than what it usually is.
There will be something different every day to do. Like you'll be going from doing your tests and getting all your reads done in the lab, or you'll be sent out on the road with another operator to learn all the other locations as well. That's what gets me out of bed and wanting to do stuff every day.
I think we're gonna have to take it offline and grain it down.
We always have something to do. It's endless. It's endless. If you're sitting down, that means you're on lunch.
The best kind of candidate, even if you don't have any mechanical skills or any water chemistry, a desire to learn. A desire to learn is the big thing that we need. If you come to us with a willingness to learn about this job and you're interested in it and you show up day in and day out, we can take care of the rest.
MES gives you the opportunity to become great, and I think they pushed me to greatness.
In the beginning, I didn't know nothing when it came to water and wastewater. But now, I actually know what it is from beginning to end. The training's pretty thorough.
I've been able to come in the door, not knowing what I was getting into, to now running a very large part of the state. MES has paid for college. They paid for my bachelor's, they're paying for my master's.
MES will definitely get you the education and any of the resources that you need to get you to the position that you want to go for in the future.
Starting this career, it made me more efficient in my life outside of work.
I definitely love it. It has set me up to a better future. If you're that curious, go for the job. No questions asked.
I thank MES for everything that they have done for me, because they accelerated my career. Somebody is going to see something great in you.
It played well. Congratulations to comms. Ms. Ramsey already got a job with another entity and is making a lot more money than we were paying her. So even we celebrate once people get all their training and their licenses, and they leave. So hopefully she will help. Her image will help, and hopefully she's signed a disclosure to let us use her image for forever. But anyway, hopefully we'll get some more recruits that way. So next slide is really the end of a almost 3-year effort. I've talked about how we've turned on Copilot license, and we have so we are a Microsoft Teams, Microsoft-based system, and we've turned that on, and senior leaders have access to Copilot to the highest levels, and it's now actually also powered by ChatGPT. But there is, in that version, there is an internal version, a work version, and there is a web version, so we know when we're going on and off premises. But I challenged IT a long time ago, 2.5 years ago, after I read some books about ChatGPT, to come up with a way for us to have staff get access to all of our policies, procedures, internal, to hopefully lighten the load on the questions that are received by finance, procurement, and primarily human resources. And they successfully launched the beta a 1.5 weeks ago. And there are no negative comments from it. It's on premises, it's on our intranet. It lets our staff have access to all of our procedures. And it's still based on a Copilot backbone. IT used Copilot to help build it, but now it's lost on our intranet. So I wanted to give kudos to Mr. Sharma and IT for making it a reality and for doing it in-house. No consultant help in getting it produced. So cheers and thank you. And I just wanted the board to know about it. So it's going to hopefully will help ameliorate some of the load. But anyway, congratulations, Mr. Sharma and IT. Thank you, Mr. Powers. I know you're listening. I know you're involved. So next slide. Oh, someone had their hand up? Ms. Phillip, you have your hand up or are you just applauding? Oh,
I do, actually. I did applaud as well with the video. Just very curious about how that's going to be used. Is it going to be video shorts? Just curious on how to use it. It's kind of a 5-minute video, so it's a long video, and I think it could be very useful, but just curious on what your communication strategy is to help use bits and pieces of that video to recruit.
So when we go to conferences, we have a monitor on our when we go to a larger conference, Mako or MML, we have a monitor up, and it'll be on loop on that with our other promo material. We go to events, hopefully we will push people to it, but as far as we'll get a comms plan, I'll answer that question, and I'll have communications and water, wastewater work on how many different ways we'll utilize it and use the shorts. But I know we'll use it in those all day events. And
pipeline. So with our regionals going out to the pipeline.
oh, so yes, we
excited to be able to use this with the students and that.
So we have requested over the last 1.5 years for the regional supervisors like Mr. Bolden that was in the video to perform outreach to VOTEC schools and high schools, and they will be pushing it when they go and have those presentations, go to classrooms, et cetera.
Thank you.
Next slide. So I don't know if I've ever really talked too much about this with the board. We have a health and wellness program, and I've been talking about personal finance over a few years and recommending books, and we have a book library in our room, and when staff requested at the sites, we will buy the books for them. We did invest buying the books through library systems, but that doesn't, or virtually, that doesn't really work. But communications, kudos to Ms. Merkel and Ms. Chiarella, who is the owner of this project. Every month, Ms. Chiarella produces a Pathways to Growth virtual newsletter. And in that, and it's been getting, all kudos, it's been getting better and better. And the thought that we support our entire staff with continued education and learning about both their health primarily, but then also their wealth, being a 401k 457 system. We want to make sure that our staff are constantly aware of the opportunities that Vanguard brings to us. and nationwide moving to Empower in the 457 system, and just having a topic of conversation. So an incredible production now and a reservoir of information. So even when we onboard folks, as they learn about it, they can go back and look at the old ones. And it's choose to do what they want, and also to make sure that our employee assistance program and our tuition programs are well understood by all staff. So happy to share with the board and anyone else that's interested, but it's turning into an incredible little internal, an incredible internal publication. So I just wanted to highlight it because this month's was awesome. Next slide. So we keep winning. So top workplaces, interestingly enough, there have been some awards that are coming out for workplace culture excellence from 2024. So we won awards in employee well-being, professional development, and compensation and benefits. And we'll roll out the full notice later. I'm not going to say the other one because it might not be ready for our launch, but we are also winning. We're continuing to win even in 2025. Next slide. So I wanted to, with a few new board members and never really going through all the ways we focus on continuous improvement at MES, but you're going to hear about a couple of these, 3 of these efforts, the top 3 today. And I just wanted to have a slide that really expresses all the ways that we monitor ourselves and that we measure, analyze, and act in a continuous improvement cycle. So the first is the BEST program, Building Excellence and Success Together. That existed before my time here. It's been around for about a quarter century and is directly related to our bonus structure. The next is strategic planning. So we both develop a 5-year strategic plan, and then the top 40 leaders in the organization meet every quarter. Individuals are assigned key performance indicators to be the champion of, and we go over those KPIs every 3 months-ish and try to see if we can improve. So for those that have been on the board for a little longer, the entire review of the procurement process and our procurement pit team, which has yielded no out of compliance purchases this last week. But that was an effort over 6 months and last 6 months, and came directly out of our strategic planning and our key performance indicators. We also research best practices, not just for government, not just for utilities, but anywhere. Can we be the Chick-fil-A of greetings and efficiency? Or choose your Fortune 500 company. Next bullet, and it is a major bullet. So strategic planning, that was already a part of MES. However, the quarterly meetings and really focusing on KPIs, an initiative over the last 5 years. Employee engagement surveys, so one of which is related to top workplaces, and another that is directly related to asking all staff in an anonymous way what their ideas are. There's a set number of questions we've been asking for 4 years in a row. But what we do is we take those questions and we come up with an annual action plan, which Mr. Tosi will talk about a little later. I've always stressed that I read every question. I read every comment, and it's grown. We have about, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but about 275, 290 respondents last year.
341.
All right, 341. Thank you, Mr. Tosi. So we had 341 out of our 830 staff make comments. We digest the information, we bring and share an action plan with the board, and we make a commitment to address all of the issues that we list. Managing for results, many may not know about, that is actually from the Department of Budget Management. It's been active since 2004. We have lists, but that ends up being more of an accounting of things that we do. How many permits do we hold and meet, et cetera. So not as critical. And I should have put the board first probably, but these board meetings are meant for review of my actions, finance, human resources, procurement, and the operational groups to keep you in tune, to have you ask questions based on the materials that we share, and to answer all those questions until we get your satisfaction. We do have a suggestion box. get suggestions and we act on them. And we have audits, internal audits, to put that forward. We have external audits as well. The external audit annually has been started. We had our first auditor show up this week. And we also have DLS, Office of Legislative Audits, out of the Department of Legislative Services that audits us every 3 years. And then finally, also to show you what that long-term projects waiting for feedback slide is that I produce. That's giving the board accountability. Sometimes they're KPI related, sometimes they're project and process improvement, but we have a system where we share what the senior leaders are doing and how we're improving on a monthly basis. So I would call that our metaverse, our universe of how we're trying to improve and our commitment to the board and to the state and to the citizens, well, to the citizens of Maryland and abroad. So that was a lot. Any questions?
I have a question. Are there any relationships that you've determined so that you can reduce the number of these that you're doing?
Interestingly, the reason why this came in my head this month was because I did not want to expand any more obligations. I read something somewhere about too many things, and in truth, a merger of the best with the strategic planning process. But that would take away, the best is developed with a committee. So it's not just the executive having a suggestion or implementing something. And that committee comes up with those goals that we'll talk about, whether we meet them or not. And I don't put my finger on the scale on a lot of different things, but I don't, as long as I'm in agreement, I don't take any away or add any things.
I would just want to add on the best part, because I'm absorbing things over my 60 days, I think now here, that the best goals are established with information from the annual employee survey too. So it's more of like an annual iterative process. So
We used to send a survey to clients too, or does MES no longer do that?
No, we do that. We do that as well. We don't get a lot of responses. Any other questions? Next slide. Long-term projects, bunch of things are crossed out. The adjust retire. So some of the things will be coming to the board in the form of policies later, but as far as our internal work, they're done. Just wanted to highlight adding a KPI for exit interviews to for our voluntary separations, exactly what has occurred. Also to note that our biannual commitment to get a classic comp out, the classic compensation study is on the street or about to get on the street, and we will have feedback from submissions in mid-October. Next slide. Miss Delegate Baylor could not make it this quickly, but last Friday, as the board knows, and hopefully all staff know, we will have another board member. We already have another board member, so hopefully he will be able to fit the board meeting into his calendar next month, and we continue to wait on our senator that will be added to the board for the adjustments to our legislation last year. And next slide. So, happy retirement to one of our best. Congratulations to Marnie Dolliner, who will be retiring next week after an incredible 35-year career here at MES. Ms. Dolliner started as a civil engineer working at Hawkins Point Landfill in Curtis Bay industrial area in March of 1990. At that time, the now closed landfill was actively accepting waste from the demolition of the Baltimore Chrome Works. She then moved to the Dundalk Marine Terminal to support remediation work with lining the storm drains and building a catch basin. She continued to build a remarkable legacy within the Environmental Dredging and Restoration Group, serving as senior engineer, and then EDR Deputy Division Chief, EDR Division Chief, and most recently as the EDR Managing Director. The dredge material containment facilities and the Maryland Port Administration's dredge material management program wouldn't be the same without Ms. Dolliner's incredible career. She helped raise the dikes at Hart Miller Island when it was still actively taking dredge material pre-2009. She provided engineering support for Poplar Island's construction starting in 2001 and the reopening of Cox Creek in the early 2000s, along with the building of Masonville's DMCF beginning in 2005, which she mentions as one of her proudest MES moments. Her dedication and expertise have been instrumental in the success of the dredging program, and her leadership at MES has left a lasting impact on countless projects and colleagues. When those colleagues speak of her, they say that Marnie is known for her kindness and caring personality, which has made her a joy to work with. Though she'll be incredibly missed, we are thankful for her many years of service and wish her the best in her well-earned retirement. And we're sure she will hit the ball straight. And, now I'm gonna, before we ask her to say the words, sorry for the poor rapping. And I don't know if, well, we got other people with a cell phone, but Tom's left. Please, Marty, come up and I'll read the governor's citation. Marnie Dolliner, Managing Director, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of the 35 years of dedicated and outstanding service you have made on behalf of the Maryland Environmental Service, in honor of the high level of professionalism, expertise, and commitment you have demonstrated throughout your distinguished career, and as the people of Maryland join in expressing our great respect, admiration, and sincere best wishes on the occasion of your retirement, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation. Signed, Westmore Governor, Arun Miller, Lieutenant Governor, and Susan Lee, Secretary of State. Bowman, Johnson, hell, anybody that wants to join. Slatnick, you gotta come on up. Everybody get in with her. I mean, come on. We'll stay behind because.
Managing directors on my
And
side.
directors, everybody. Hammett, come on. Oh, you don't want to join? I know you didn't dress for a picture, but it's.
Come on, Officer
Oh,
Rob.
you can sit. Come on.
Yes, sir.
Slatnick, for sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
Keep going.
Yeah, I was
Right. We gotta be.
Well, we gotta slide. We gotta slide. Arms left. We didn't.
I think we have to like turn a little.
We get some people on the other side.
On this side, yeah.
Hammett, come on,
Hey,
Hammett, come
Hammett.
across.
Hammett.
Sorry, come across.
Tim,
Who didn't? All
All
right. Who are we looking at?
Everybody.
Okay. I like win some stuff there. Right.
What, any words?
Son's comms, I'm trying to get 70 photos.
You're gonna make a speech now, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna make her speak. She wants to. She doesn't have to.
It's like, thank you. Thank you. You can go over on that. It'll be like a little, and we'll be like, well, thank you.
Want to say anything?
Sharon.
Give a second. Just give Ms. Dollar a second.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in this room, that it's been an honor to be able to work alongside you and help out our agency and continue with improvements. And I'm very proud to be working with all of you, and I will miss you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my presentation.
And on behalf of the board, Ms. Dolinar, good luck with everything that your future holds for you. You surely will be missed. You've been an instrumental part of these meetings, and it's been nice to get to know you. So all the bestest wishes in the whole world. I do believe Mr. Tosi is up next with the 2025 Employee Engagement Survey task.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so this is a follow-up to the discussion that I had with the board back in May, where we were recapping the 2024 tasks. And so those have been completed, and now we are working on our 2025 tasks. These are tasks that came out of the 2025 survey that we plan to complete during the next fiscal year. So July 1 to June 30. So as we had said earlier, we got about 341, not about, exactly 341 respondents. So it's a 39% increase from the 2024 survey, which is good. We like more feedback, the better. So next slide. And although it says 23 tasks, I didn't make that change. It's actually 30 tasks. And these are 12 categories, so the tasks that we have fall under 12 general categories. Last year, by comparison, we had 9 categories and about 20 and 24 tasks. This year, 12 categories, 30 tasks. And so I'm going to go through each of the tasks, but I'm not going to go through every single one of them because it's a lot to go over. So I'm just going to highlight a few on each page. And so there's about there's I think 4 more slides on this particular presentation. So go to the next slide. With these tasks, these cover the areas of compensation, career and professional growth, communications and policy updates, and safety. And I'll just highlight a couple here, but I'll leave a pause at the end if anybody has any questions on these. So as Dr. Glass had mentioned, we are in the process of conducting the biennial class and comp study. And then on number 4, encouraging employees to record a day in the life. This is a way of having all of our employees participate in letting everybody know what they do, because we have so many different operating areas that it's great to know what people do on a daily basis. So if anybody has any questions on any of these, I'm happy to answer. If not, I'll go to the next slide. Okay. So with this grouping, we have procurement, workday improvements, recognition, education, and training. And so the first one I'll highlight is number 10, developing a procurement reference guide with steps, forms, and contacts. This is really aimed at assisting all of our employees with the procurement process and making sure they have all the information they need, which is a great suggestion from one of our employees. Number 15, offering orientation sessions to managers and supervisors with 15 years experience. So people who have been here for 15 years, we're not mandating, but we're offering that they sit in on a new employee orientation just to get a refresher on all the different things that we offer here at MES, or the different policies. And we have things like the fleet manual that are going to be updated. So all those types of things just to reacquaint them. Again, it's something that they can participate in, but don't have to. So it's an opportunity for them to be re-engaged on that. Next slide. So with this grouping, the third out of 4 groupings, equity and inclusion, operations and innovation, recruitment and retention. So I'll highlight a couple here as well. Number 19. Actually, I forgot to mention. So the things that are listed in red are things that we haven't that are on the list, but we haven't really started yet. Anything that's in yellow has been initiated, but hasn't been completed. And then the one item that was on the previous slide in green has really already been kind of completed. So number 19, developing a KPI dashboard to track metrics and progress. This goes to what Dr. Glass was talking about earlier. This is something that I think really needs to happen so that we can, as an agency as a whole, track our progress towards meeting our goals in our strategic plan. So this will be a great initiative that we have this coming year. I think it's going to be a daunting challenge, but it's something that we can definitely succeed in. And then number 20, retiree lessons. Oh yeah, retiree lessons. Which one was that? Number 23, recording retiree lessons learned videos for knowledge transfer. I wanted to highlight this one just to make sure that we understood that Marnie was the first one to to do this one. So we're grateful for Marnie. This actually should now be in yellow, not red, but the presentation had to be finalized earlier this week, so I wasn't aware of that until yesterday. And then one more slide, and unless anybody has any questions about any of these. Nope. Walking meetings, so encouraging walking meetings, number 27, is a great way to promote movement and connection. Just getting people up and about, probably going to be more applicable in the spring, summer, and fall months, maybe not so much in the winter months. And then the last one, number 30, I'll highlight as a way of explaining that nobody can escape a task. This one has been assigned to me, so I have to create a frequently asked questions document that addresses common questions or suggestions, for internal purposes. So any questions on any of these at all? Seeing none, I can move on to the next one, which I think is also mine. So the FY 28 to 32 strategic plan. Yes, we're currently in fiscal 26, and yes, this is the fiscal 28 strategic plan. So we're a pretty, decent amount of time away from that, but we wanted to get started early. I'm sorry, you can go to the next slide. We wanted to get started early to, and this will just be a couple of slides just to highlight what the process that we're going through to create and develop the next MES strategic plan. I like the little puzzle pieces because I think everything is going to kind of fit together nicely in the end. There are 5 phases in this process, and you can I think you can go to the next slide and I'll highlight all the phases here. So with the first phase, planning and preparation, Q2 fiscal 26, we're going to be meeting on October 1st. The earliest possible time you could meet in Q2 in fiscal 26. And we formed a committee, a steering committee this time instead of what we did last time, which is a little bit rushed. So the steering committee is made up of representatives from all the operating groups and the administration and finance group, so that we can get input and buy-in from every corner of the agency. So the committee is meeting on October 1st. And we're going to be discussing, timelines and how we conduct a group-specific strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, which is, on phase 2 when we're really going to be conducting that SWOT analysis, Q3, Q4, fiscal 26 and fiscal 26. So meeting, planning, and the rest of this year. Phase 2, really the next 6 months, conducting SWOT analysis, and Q1 fiscal 27, really next summer, we'll be drafting and developing the framework for the next strategic plan. Phase 4 would really be the writing portion of the strategic plan. And we are aiming to present to the board in early early calendar year 27. The fiscal year and calendar year are kind of confusing sometimes. In early calendar year 27, which is sort of Q3, Q4, fiscal 27, we're aiming to have the board be in possession of a draft fiscal 28 strategic plan. And the objective really is to have the board approve the plan in advance of the plan's implementation date, which would be July 1, 2027, the beginning of fiscal 28, to hopefully not confuse things too much. So is there any questions about any of this? Are you okay with the process? Hopefully.
Question or comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you anticipating that the board would be regularly briefed?
We can do whatever you would like.
Because I think it would be more beneficial for both the board and management if we were able to understand where the strategic plan is going well before we're handed the document and asked.
Absolutely. We can do it however you like. If you'd like a quarterly update on progress, That's fine.
We'll definitely keep it with the phases, probably using the phases as benchmarks and
Okay.
give you whatever the product is at the end of phase one, end of phase two.
I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
I agree. That would be very helpful to have kind of updates instead of waiting until the end.
No problem.
I think the board needs to be careful not to go too deep in helping that to happen. Okay, so let's make sure that what we'll be doing, and then you're coming back and saying how you're doing is whatever. But it's them to bring to us and not for us to give them to them.
Copy that.
all right. Well, thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it. And looking forward to starting this process next week. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Tosi. Next up, we have Ms. Hers with the best goals for FY25, and this is the final update.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, I did go through and review some of the previous board meetings, so I do understand that you all have received a few updates as the year progressed. So I'm gonna run through the goals as quickly as possible with the strategies that they employed and we employed to reach the targets that we identified. So first goal was on safety, making sure that all of our employees work in a manner that is consistent with the highest standards. We conducted several different specific trainings and set targets for those. All of those trainings were completed within the designated timeframe. Just want to highlight the efforts of the safety environmental compliance team on making sure that also any of the new hires were in that training and the fact that they conducted all of them so timely. So are there any questions on the safety goals from last year? Okay, next slide. All right, goal 2 was education. So encouraging our staff to take advantage of all educational opportunities. There was a strategy to provide training on all of the new and amended policies that have been approved by the board of directors. As of the third quarter of fiscal year 2025, we did have those completed. We also have held 6 health and wellness events per year. And part of that, the Pathways to Health newsletter also highlights additional resources even outside of the education program that our employees can take advantage of. We successfully completed the group 101 materials for onboarding new employees, and I have had the pleasure of doing at least one and sitting in on at least one of those onboarding sessions. I have to say, coming from a couple of other state agencies previously, that it's probably the best onboarding program that I have been subject to. So
Wonder if you didn't work for us.
I know, you know, still new enough to say those things, right? And I have no stake in the game for this year's best. So just so you guys know. So are there any questions on goal 2? Okay, go to the next slide, please. All right, so goal 3, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, you met Ms. McGee earlier this morning. She not only met the goals that were set and the sub goals within the time frame, she exceeded them. So through her efforts and the efforts of the managing directors and all of the staff to make themselves available and to attend these separate trainings, that was completed. They also had a target of doing EEO training for 50% of MES managers. And I believe at the end of June, we actually exceeded that goal and achieved 67% of new managers receiving and previous managers receiving that training. I need to sign up for the proper pronoun etiquette training. I didn't know that that was something we offered until I saw this, so I'm excited about that. This goal was also exceeded by the end of June with a total of 79, I was dyslexic there for a second, 79% of staff receiving that. So any questions on this slide?
I had just one quick question, which is, well, it's not a question, it's a comment. I love that you, in your report out, stated where we exceeded. I think it would be great if the slide showed what the goal was and then how you exceeded it, quickly, so that you don't have to report it verbally and it's just kind of in front of us where we've set goals and you're actually achieving them or exceeding them.
Will do. All right, next slide. Okay, customer and community service. So we've set a goal to provide continued excellence in customer service to both our internal and our external customers. As part of that, each of the managing groups and their directors and division chiefs were required to spend a day at one of their facilities or project sites every single month. All of the groups successfully completed that. I actually even got to participate on a few that are for this year, so that was exciting. Each group was asked to identify and lead a community service and voluntary activity. All of them have achieved that. Our last service event was in April, and it was a Sandy Point State Park cleanup that was led by Mr. Lipinski's operating group, water and wastewater. And then finally, we have a target to beat our previous year's Maryland charity campaign goal, which was, I don't know the number, and if you want that number, I can look it up from last year, but we did exceed that goal by 5.25% with our employees contributing a total of $19,588.61 to the Maryland charity campaign. Any questions or comments here? Okay, next slide. All right, something that I'm pretty familiar with from my past roles, the environment. So quantifying our carbon footprint from our operations and identifying opportunities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Each operating group and the headquarters building were asked to quantify our fiscal year greenhouse gas emissions by the end of the first quarter. We had actually identified the opportunities last year. So that was completed by, I assume, the end of September, and create a plan to reduce our footprint. Our greenhouse gas report was finalized and printed and submitted for requirements in January. We also submitted we had a target of submitting at least 5 grant applications for environmental justice projects. We actually again exceeded that target and submitted 6. However, there were some changes in the federal administration side, and many of those, I think if not all of the ones that we applied for, are no longer being offered. And then again, staff Earth Day is our favorite event. Really looking forward to it next year. They had Earth Day events at all sites on April 22nd this year, so we completed that goal as well. Any questions on this slide? Okay, next slide. Goal 6 is to improve our administrative procedures, looking at increasing efficiency, staffing, revenues, and small business opportunities. There were 2, 3, so I don't want to count wrong, 5 sub goals for this particular category, 3 of which we have met, but I would like to focus on the 2 that we did not meet to offer time for questions. So at the beginning of the year, we had a goal of increasing our revenue through billable labor sales by 4% year over year. That's the targeted increase we have. While it was not achieved, as of June, MES was at 3.9% for an increase over the previous year. And I would like to note, and it was probably mentioned this time last year in the board meeting, that last year we had a record of billable labor sales. It was a marked increase above what we typically saw. That in combination with what happened at the federal level with many of the cuts to some of our major client programs was part of the impact that we started to feel in the third and fourth quarter of fiscal 25. So if we were to round up, it's really close. So that's what I'm saying. But I'm happy to answer any questions on that one right now if you want, or I can go on to the second one. Yes.
So I think we also, maybe I understand, and I might be wrong, that as the billable labor sales goes up, some other things come down and vice versa. In other words, we can hire a lot of people or give a lot of contracts. And sometimes I think one thing impacts another. Am I right on that one, up the dollars and cents?
So our goal is the billable labor,
Okay.
but definitely revenues is another factor too.
Yeah.
So revenues may go up and down. And if the revenues are higher, and luckily it's always getting higher year by year, which is advantageous to our businesses in the state of Maryland. And it is advantageous to MBEs, SPRs. So revenues has a like almost 78% pass through. It does not add to the MES's net earnings, but it is still good for Maryland. The billable labor increases definitely contributes, by the overhead recovery, fringe recovery, and adds to our net earnings. So that's the difference. But we would like to grow both because we want to help the businesses too.
Thank you.
Any other questions before I move on? Okay, so the second sub goal that was in this category was to meet or exceed the state's small business reserve goal. I will tell you where we met or where we landed on the target. And then I do have a little bit of backstory that might help explain some of this. And I also might tag in my procurement chief here. Okay, so the goal initially that was being discussed internally, I believe, was 15% for the small business reserve state goal. And then it was adjusted after the legislative session in 2024, and it went from 15% up to 20%. So our target for fiscal year 25 was 20%. The other thing that I wanted to add for clarification is that the goal itself was not being measured for the same thing. So the 15% target, this is where I might just like get the side eye from Winsome, but previously they were interested in us accounting for payments made to small business reserves. And the target had been 15%. The change as part of the legislative session in 2024 was not towards the payments made. It was more focused on the awards and the total dollar amount of those awards to the small business reserves in relation
So it's
to.
both of them.
Yeah.
So it's both. So
Yeah.
they added, so they didn't have the award contracted portion of it to SBR. They only had like just the payments. But then because they added both of it, so they thought that if they add both, that if they can, add the 20%, add the 5% to make it 20%, hoping that, the agencies would make it.
Yes. So that's the backstory. So with that being said, in terms of the total awards made to the certified small businesses, we landed at 14.73%, for a total amount of, 90.89 million, awarded to small businesses. And in terms of payments made to certified small businesses, our participation, or our payments were at 20.75% for a total of $110.33 million being paid out to certified small businesses in fiscal year 25. One of the things that, and I will, you know what, let me just stop. I don't want to overshare. Are there any questions that you might have for me related to that?
Probably have two.
Okay.
Do you have a thought on what your strategy is going to be moving forward? And then there's only an SBR goal here. Is there not a WB-MBE goal?
Oh, good questions. The MBE WBE goal is still one of our goals. It's a statewide target. I think it's 29% now. Was it higher or is it?
If I can jump in. So we do still have the WBE MBE goal of 29%. We've exceeded it for long enough. Only one time in my 5 years were we below it, and MES was already doing pretty well for that it just came off the goals last year because we kept on exceeding it. And it is still a requirement for the MBE officer for his bonus for him to meet that goal. No, we're still doing fine in that goal and we exceed 29%.
It's a great question though, Ms. Phillip. So she did. The first question, the first part of your question was really related to, well, what's our strategy, right? To increase from what we
based off of the change is really what I'm thinking.
So I want to, before I let Ms. Condra come in and talk about it, because she is our procurement chief, so I know she has a strategy. I want to just say that while I researched these goals ahead of this meeting, there were a number of notable changes that have already happened, even within fiscal year 25. For example, we hold pre-bid meetings for any of our small business reserve procurements. Part of that was the strategy to make sure that that minority businesses as well as small businesses could come in. We could answer questions. I know that they were provided, that outreach and training was provided to certified small businesses or ones that could be certified to show them exactly how to get those certifications. And that is also part of some of our more recent procurements that were determined to be small business awards during the pre-bid meeting as well. And that did show some increase in the amount of firms that are being certified in some of the NAICS codes that we draw from for our procurements. The other thing that I wanted to add is just that we had a structure which changed recently where our small business reserves were being capped at a total award value of $250,000. That was changed in the last shortlist A&E to $750,000, I believe now. And it's the exact same as what we have for our A&E All Awards. So it's difficult to catch up in a scenario where you're limited in size to the value of the award, and that's part of what you're being measured against. So those two things where you have parity now between the all A&E and the certified small business list A&E shortlist should help us in the future in terms of gaining a little bit more traction. And now I will hand it over to you.
So our strategy is, this year in May, we did, a MBE SBR event here at MES. We haven't done that in a long time, and where we implemented, GUSPA, engaged with GUSPA, and they came on board, to determine if any MBE, certified companies were, if qualified to be SBRs. They had a workshop where they can be certified. So what we're gonna continue to do as strategy is to continue that. So next year, May, around that time, we'll be having another one. And because we had great feedback from the last one, so we'll continue that. And also my MBE SBR program manager, he's looking at other options and doing some research. And engaging GUSPA in how we can be creative in the SBR realm when it comes to our procurement.
Any other questions on that? Okay,
No, thank you. Very helpful.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hers. Next up, we have the new business report. There is one slide for September 2025. We can take a moment and review that. If there are any questions or comments, please feel free to ask or to comment. Okay, thank you. Mr. Patel with the finance report. Good morning, Mr. Patel.
Good morning. So I'm presenting the financial performance for 2 months, July and August. Those are the months we are in fiscal year 26. As you can see in the bars there, the actual fiscal year 25 billable labor was 6,553,000. Actual fiscal year 26 is 6,847,000. As it was mentioned that our goal is to increase billable labor 4% year over year. So if you look at it, fiscal year 26 versus fiscal year 25, our billable labor has increased by 4.49%. So that is good news that, for the first 2 months, our billable labor has been increased by 4.49%. The last one that says actual fiscal year 26 versus budget is says 0.47%. These numbers are in millions, and when they prepare it, they look at the actual numbers, but then when they convert to the slide, they're not mindful of that. But it's basically what we have is 4.49%. That's the real number there. And so we are doing very good, so based on 2 months so far. Next slide. So here we present fiscal year 25. This should be fiscal year 26. Yeah. Fiscal year 26 was fiscal year 24. So we have actual as of August 2024 and actual as of August 2025. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, the labor sales are up 4.49% year over year. The good part about it is the billable hours are also 5,000 higher than the last year. The higher the billable dollars, we have overhead recovery. So that is also 102,000 more than the same period last year. The biggest difference, and we had that in the fiscal year 25 also, is the overhead expenses. Because overhead expenses are less, $168,000 year over year. The overhead vacancies is the contributor of that. And if you say $168,000, that's probably 2 or 3 positions. If it stays vacant for 2-3 months, it significantly adds to these differences.
Question. Is the increase in billable hours, is that based on new projects or just general across the board increases in all projects?
So we are always adding new projects because finance set up the projects. And we see that, there's always requests to add new project. Many, I think a majority of them are coming from our existing customers who will increase the scope of the work. They say, okay, can you do this for us? Can you do this for us? But, and that is, and I never miss an opportunity to thank our employees because they do such a good job that, the clients, anytime they need something, the existing client will come up, even the smallest project and all that. They say, can you do this? Can you do this? And we are so versatile, we can do that. But biggest increase is that the scope of work is expanding. And of course, in certain groups, the new projects, that with the new technology, like I know one of the things is GIS is expanding, we are going into the MDE and all that. So that is significantly increasing too. But our existing customers, we have to thank them because they keep coming up with more scope of work. Thank you. And if you look at that, fringe, varies here and there. It's not a significant contributor, and most of the others are steady. So if you look at it, the increase in net assets, which is the net earning, last year was 959,000. This year so far is 1.3 million, and mainly because of the overhead variance, because of the overhead, a decrease in overhead expenses. I just informed a little earlier, look at the revenues in 2 months. As of August 2024, 24.6 million. As of August 2025, 31.6 million. That's a significant increase year over year. And that is a 7 million increase. And a lot of them are for capital projects, but at least it's good that we are expanding the scope of work. We are doing more work for our clients as well as the businesses in Maryland. Next slide, please. Let me get to my right slide here. All right, so this is budget versus actual, 2 months ended. So I presented the 2 months actual. What we do is based on those 2 months actual, we forecast what the year end will look like. It's not 100% scientific method, but we do statistical analysis and we figured out, where we're gonna end up for full year estimate. So labor sales, as I say, is higher than expected, and overhead expenses are lower than expected. So in the overhead expense, we as of now, we project, that'll be 2.6 million less than budgeted. But as the vacancies are filled in overhead positions, we'll revise our forecast. As I mentioned before, fringe recovery and the working capital variances and all that, they usually go pretty steady, and it does not affect the net earnings that much. So we had a budgeted full year increase in net assets at 4.5 million. When we budget all the overhead positions as 100%. Now, and then, there's a vacancy, then it adds to that. And we are projecting based on what information we have, the projection is that we're gonna end up the year at $6.7 million. So also in the overhead expenses, we budget, based on taking into consideration the inflation index and all that, and previous year's experience and all that. So that budget, what we do for overhead expense, is very well funded to take care of any expected expenses plus the inflation. So I'm glad to present that we are doing better for 2 months, and we're gonna end up very well based on full year estimate. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Patel, are you going to go over American Indian Heritage Day resolution with us? Okay.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. So first, I'm gonna read the summary of the resolution, and then I'm gonna go into a little detail. a resolution authorizing the executive director of the Maryland Environmental Service to close certain offices and facilities of the service on Friday, November 28, 2025, in observation of American Indian Heritage Day. Authorizing making American Indian Heritage Day a permanent holiday of the service, and further authorizing certain payments to employees of the service. So it's two-part. The board, if choose, will approve is that we gonna have this November 28, 2025 as American Indian Heritage Day holiday, and then make it permanent. Based on my experience here, we are doing this 1 year at a time for 19 years. So now we are asking the board to approve it and permanently. It is a permanent holiday declared by the state. The employee, it will be treated as any other holiday, and employees are entitled to the same benefits. Some of our facilities where they require operators will be operating that day, and we give them the holiday any other day, so they do not lose out any benefits. So first, are there any questions on this?
Mr. Patel, can you explain the third bullet?
Yeah, so when it says further authorizing certain payments to employees of the service, that is like treating like any other holiday. So as I mentioned, if some employees are working on that day, then we will give them another day off, but they will be paid for that day. Okay, they will have the same benefits for 401k, the health benefits and all that, which is standard for any other holiday. So it will be just treated like any other holiday, and it will be permanent.
Thank you.
So if there are no questions, I guess what I will request is the board to consider and approve. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion for approval of resolution 25-09-1R?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other questions or comments before we take the vote? And hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you.
And we are next moving on to the Human Resources Report. Dr. Gross.
Good morning. I'm happy to report we closed August with a vacancy rate for MES at 4.55%. We welcomed 16 new team members. Absent the interns, we offboarded 16 as well, yielding a workforce growth of 0. The numbers that are reported on the screen are as of September 17th, based in part on when the data was due in order for the board report to be available. I am happy to share, though, that as of yesterday, the overall vacancy rate is 3.73, with the MES only being 3.92. Between last week and the week that is, between this week and the week to come, we will welcome 13 new team members to MES, bringing our total vacancy rate down as of yesterday to 32. And of those 32, we already have 15 offers extended that have been accepted. Next slide, please. Thank you. What this shows is the head count by group, again, as of September 17th. Of the vacancies that are listed, as well as, again, we're currently at 32, but even with that 32, we have progressive activity against all of our open positions, so none of them are remaining stagnant. Next slide, please. It has been a busy month. And so thank you to everyone who has participated in the recruiting events and making sure that MES is well represented. Of the recruiting events that we've had, 50% of them have been diversity related. And we're trudging along and have an extensive list of recruiting events already scheduled for October as well. Any questions? Absent no questions, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Gross. Ms. Condra, procurement items and notifications.
Good morning. First procurement item, it's for the group environmental dredging and restoration. It is a roof renewal for the project, various Maryland Port Administration's projects. The contract is Gahagan and Bryant Associates. It is a SBR Prime. This is the second renewal for $2 million. The revised total contract amount is $10 million. The MBE participation, the goal was set at 29%, and it is attained as of this report, 41.41%.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for procurement item number 1?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on procurement item number 1?
Madam Chair, I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Weird things are happening. Is it just?
On my screen too.
I'm like, what is that squiggly?
Yeah, I wasn't even touching my mouse, so I have no idea where that came from.
She is left there looking into it.
Okay, I was just like, what's happening? Just so the original terms, I see these are called kind of option year, but each option year seems to be a 5-year term, or 2-year term. I'm sorry. Is that correct?
2, yes.
So it's option term, not option year. I guess that's just a wording suggestion. But my bigger question is the original term. What was that? Oh, I see it now. Sorry, dork moment. It's 4 years. Where I was going with it was just confirming that the 2 million each term makes sense based off of the original term. It seems like our renewals are a little bit more than what the original term is. Is there an explanation there? It was 6 million over the first is 4 years, and each of these are 2-year terms, and they're kind of 2 million.
Correct. And we're exercising the option to do the renewals a little early, just based on the extent of the work involved with the Mid-Bay project and the Masonville dredging and construction dike raising expansions that have been going on from +30 and then also +42, which is coming up soon. We anticipated all the work at Masonville, but Mid-Bay, we knew we had an involvement in our support to the Maryland Port Administration and their work in kind support to the Corps for the Mid-Bay project, which is very large. We did have more work responsibility due to staffing shortages with the Corps. They, with the hiring freeze and then losing staff because of, I guess, the early retirements. They've relied on GBA, our contractor, to provide construction support services on Barren Island Phase 1 and 2. And coming up, we'll be doing the same for James Island beginning in January 2026. And these projects are very large. They're like 2-year projects. So, and in order to add them to this task-based contract, we're kind of committing ahead of time in order to have, the capacity in the contract. But really, we've only spent just under 3 million on the contract, but they're long-term.
I think that my question is answered. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of procurement item number 1, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Ms. Condra, number 2.
So this is another renewal from the Environmental Operations Group from the Project Montgomery County Recycling Center, General and Skilled Labor Services. The contractor is Colossal Contractors Incorporated. And this is the 4th renewal for amount of $3,501,352. And this provides a total contract amount to $15,919,541. And this would be the I guess the last of the 4 additional 1-year renewals. The MBE participation, the goal is set at 30% and they achieve 41.95%.
All right, is there a motion for approval of procurement item number 2?
I move approval of item number 2.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Are there any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, I just have one question.
Yes.
So I see in modifications to date, renewals 1, 2, and 3, there's a steady increase in the budget. Is that reflective of changes in actual labor costs, or is the scope of operation changed, meaning they're bringing in additional labor?
That's, there is a provision in the contract to allow for a cost of living increase each year. Any increases would be more reflective of cost of living increase and additional labor.
What was the last part you said, Mr. Ford? I'm sorry, you were trailing off.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna get closer. The increases are more reflective of the cost of living increase. The contractor has to meet the county living wage requirements.
Okay.
That percentage is, that'll mirror whatever the percentage cost of living increase that we allow under the contract. It's more likely that that is the increase as opposed to additional labor.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3, Ms. Condra, this might be a record for you, only 3 items.
I know, don't, next month. So this is a change order from the Environmental Operations Group for their Project Brown Station Road Landfill Area C infill engineering. The contract is Stearns, Conrad and Schmidt Consulting Engineers Incorporated. This is change order number 11 for the amount of $159,360. The revised total contract amount is $25,271,482.22. For the MBE participation, the goal is set at 20% and their participation to date is 19.8%.
Okay, is there a motion to move this item to the floor?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. We're moving procurement item number 3 to the floor for approval. Are there any questions or comments?
One question. But go ahead for the room first.
Question, Mr. Ford, where are we with construction of this project?
It's well along, progressing well. We're in the final stages of completing the initial cell. There's additional design work associated with the next 2 cells, continuing forward. There's construction management pieces of this as well. This is QA/QC for the construction, so it's well along.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Phillip, I believe you had a question as well.
Yes, no, thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to confirm, or I wanted clarity from year to year or change order to change order. Are we tracking their MBE participation as they're going through so that we have some confidence they're going to meet this goal?
Yes, we do track it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
There's always a discussion when we get an increase, based on either a change in work or whatever, is that you still have to meet the goal required. How are you gonna go about doing that?
Full, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Nice.
Any opposed? Okay, and the ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Condra.
Welcome.
Procurement notifications. There are 2 slides of procurement notifications. Please take a moment and review the slides and feel free to comment or ask any questions. Okay, and this is page number 2. Okay, thank you. Ms. Carroll has joined us today for the legal report. Ms. Carroll.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. As I reported last month, we have a vacancy in our office. The vacancy has been advertised and it is open for applications through tomorrow. And after that, our office will be spending a good bit of time in October doing first round interviews and then selecting for second round in-person interviews, and hopefully we'll have a selection made and a recommendation made to the Attorney General later in October. So that's sort of our timing on that at this point. So the first item I have for you is the proposed changes to the bylaws and to the public participation procedure. These were presented at last month's board meeting, and we had some discussion on them. And based on comments received at that time, we made some changes in real time. And further redlined the document, and Ms. Fuller circulated those changes, I think the week after the board meeting, so you all have had them for a little while. I don't believe we received any other proposed changes or comments, but we just ask if anybody has any additional comments or suggestions at this point for taking a vote on them.
I just have a thought, if it's okay. My thought is that we can get a quorum with for trustees who cannot meet. Cannot vote. But when it gets up to taking action, we still may not have sufficient number to have a quorum to vote on accepting something. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's, yeah. So I could have stayed home.
Well, you can always stay home and get on the computer.
I'm gonna use the wrong term, but the fact is, you could have had 2 people here and 2 others. But yet still, you get to an action to be taken, the action could not be taken because of trustees who can vote, could act. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think it's ready for a vote if deems that appropriate.
Okay, so if there are no other comments or questions, feel free to make a motion for approval.
I move to approve the amendments to the bylaws.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The bylaws have been updated. Thank you, everyone, for all your input on that.
So the public comment procedures go along with the bylaws, because the bylaws do provide that the board is going to adopt a procedure to take public comment, have public participation. Those proposed procedures were developed with the executive office and our office, and were proposed and circulated last month as well. I think we might have made minor changes based on the comments at the meeting, but those were again circulated right after the meeting and are probably ready for a vote unless there's further comment on them.
Okay, any comments or questions?
I do, Madam Chair. I don't know if we moved it first for comment or question. Did I need to wait for that?
We haven't, feel free to move.
I move, so moved.
Okay, is there a second?
We'll second.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, Ms. Phillip?
Yes.
You're at the lead of the line.
Yeah, just one quick question. In the public comment in person, we have pre-registration required. Is there a time limit associated with there as well?
Time limit associated with when it says that they should register at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting.
Correct. But if they provide verbal, well, I see written comments. Can they provide verbal comments? That's actually probably what I should have asked.
If they're going to be, they can provide verbal comments if they're going to come in person, and they need to pre-register to do that.
Okay, so my follow-up, as a person who has disrupted many a meeting, I'm asking a very specific question about time limit when they do, if they do provide public comment. Is there a?
There's a 3-minute limit in the procedure.
Perfect, thank you. I think that's missing from the slide, which is why I'm asking qualifying questions.
Copy that.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
None, Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the public participation guidelines and a second. All those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. And Ms. Carroll, I do believe there is one more item, regulatory review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a sort of a report to the board. It's something that requires your vote at this juncture. It's a report on the regulatory review and evaluation process that the agency has been involved with for the past approximately about the past year. And I'd like to thank Ms. Fuller for her leadership in shepherding this to the point that it is. We have a deadline of October 1st to get the regulatory review and evaluation report form filed with the committee that needs to see it. So the process started last October to prepare a work plan, and that was prepared and submitted. MES is required to go through this process every 8 years to review its regulations and determine whether they are necessary for the public interest, whether they continue to be supported by statutory authority and judicial opinion, or whether they're appropriate for amendment or repeal. So MES has looked at its regulations. It has 3 sets of regulations. One set deals with the human resources system, another set deals with procurement, and another set deals with the Public Information Act. So MES has looked at all of its regulations, and what it's required to do in this process is to identify areas where it really needs to update or change its regulations. There is a broader wish list, but that doesn't necessarily have to be done as part of this report, because once the report is filed and matters are identified, the agency really is obligated to move forward and make those changes. So, the agency has done that. The first one is, for human resources. And the changes that are proposed to be, that the agency has identified that, it wants to, report as part of this process are, the regulations lack a definition for part-time employee. MES has not decided exactly how it wants to define part-time employee at this point, but we know that there needs to be a definition. So as part of as the process moves forward, a definition will be developed, and there will be a red line versions of all the regulations that are presented to the board for the board's approval before they are published and any of these changes move forward. So the next one is to holiday leave. One is to officially add Juneteenth as a holiday of the agency by resolution. The board has already made that a permanent holiday. There was a need to change, to do a correction in the regulations. It talks about what is now known as President's Day. It was formerly called George Washington's birthday, so just correct the official name. And since the board did pass a resolution 25-09-1R making American Indian Heritage Day a permanent holiday, then that will be added. And as you can see, the other suggestions there are in the 2024 legislative session, state government article was updated to add military status as a protected class. So MES needs to update its regulations for that. There will be some clarifications to the process for the requirement for mental and physical examinations. That is still in progress. It'll be presented to the board, but we're not entirely sure what that is, but it needs some clarification. And how compensatory leave is calculated is going to be changed from a daily calculation to more of a weekly calculation. So that language still needs to be fleshed out. As far as the changes to procurement, there will be consistent with the regulation in the general state procurement law. MES would like to add multi-phase bidding as an additional type of competitive sealed bid. And the MES Act was changed to allow for pay for success contracting. So that should be added to MES's regulations. And there is a contemplated legislative change to increase the dollar amount for MES's small procurements from 25,000 to a larger amount. So if that legislation passes, then the regulation will be changed in accordance to match the same increased dollar amount for small procurements. And the changes to the PIA Act regulations are very minor. Mainly just to update cross references and to add a cross reference to the review of denial is a cross reference to the state PIA ombudsman procedures. So does anybody have any questions on the regulatory review report?
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. You don't need a motion on any of this, correct?
No, once the regulation, the red lines to the regulations have been developed so that the exact language of the regulation additions and changes are made, those will be presented to the board for its consideration and approval.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carroll. Are we doing the group updates?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I believe we are starting with water wastewater. Okay, thank you. Mr. Lipinski?
Thank you, ma'am. Even though all these people have smiles on their faces, it wasn't all fun and games, to be honest with you. This is an opportunity we get every year to go to Ocean City to the TriCon and do some learning and get to meet some of the vendors, meet our colleagues in that, and have some discussions. In this conference, we did spend a lot of time with the asset management, going to an asset management workshop on the 26th of August. We sat there for about 4 hours. It was a very good opportunity for the engineers and some of the operations folks to immerse themselves a little bit further in the asset management side of it. Other things that we participated in, systems, operations and management, wastewater treatment processes, water storage, collection systems. One of those key topics that kept coming up down there would be PFAS. I was really surprised to see that, not really, but it was a great opportunity for us to look at some of the new technology that is being doled out and looking at some of the various things that went on. We also, next slide, please. We also participated in the top ops competition. Mr. Long, Ms. Hildegass, and Mr. Williams participated. We come out of the gates really sharp on this one and did really well. And then we started having questions that we sat and looked at one another trying to figure out where they came up with the questions from. So it was what it was. I thought we had a very good showing, and I was very proud of the group. Next slide, please. The operations challenge, as you can see down the bottom, they're doing the pipe repair work. We participated in various different contests, basically the competitions with confined space, lab analysis, pipe repair, and then overall we did well. We had a couple errors that cost us some opportunities. But we're gonna move forward to Chicago this coming week, and Mr. Rumbaugh, Tar, Dallas, Biles, Nieder, and Coach Golden will be there to represent us. I just do want to call out Mr. Biles and Mr. Nieder were both from Tess, and it was kind of entertaining because Mr. Nieder was the backup man on the team, and he ended up becoming the judge, and they loved him to death. And they can't have him as a judge next year because he's going to be participating. But it was a lot of fun. Next slide, please. Only in water and waste cup water would you consider biosolids beauty contests. This is one of those things that it is what it is. Anyway, this was kind of a neat situation. Last year we were down there, and Ms. Fritz, we had our exhibit or our entries in there, and we didn't have a fancy presentation. So Ms. Fritz said, I can make that happen. And if you look on the left, her and her kids put together this phenomenal presentation. So not only did we win the beauty contest for the Class B biosolids at Deep Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant, we also won the Best in Presentation Awards with Ms. Fritz showing off her award there to the right. Next slide. And we also, Joe Wright, our operations manager, he received the William D. Hatfield Award. And this is for folks that are outstanding in their performance and professionalism in water and wastewater. One of the things, Joe, he's on the board of Waterworks and Waste Systems Operators, and he's also one of the champions of our OIT programs. This is a well-deserved reward for Mr. Wright, and we salute him for that too. And that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, I will.
Thank you, I almost said Mr. Slatnick. Thank you, Mr. Lipinski. I myself. Miss Slatnick is up next.
You're not gonna sleep for weeks.
Thank you. The TES presentation, whoops, would you go back? That's fine. The TES presentation is on our work for St. Mary's County Stormwater Management Inspection Program. The way this project originated was through the federal regulations in the Clean Water Act, which then trickled down to the requirement on the state level for the municipal separate storm sewer system permits, which is MS4, obviously for short, and it makes much more sense to be able to say it that way. Okay, Pam, you can go ahead. So our work started in the county's work on this started in 1997. MES started on the project in about 2008. We have currently an annual budget of $120,000 in labor, and that supports 4 to 5 staff working on it regularly, but not full time. So this is part of their day-to-day work. The first task that we got with St. Mary's County was actually the GIS database to track all the grading permits that were issued by the county. So when a grading permit is issued, the permit includes stormwater BMPs, which are best management practices, to prevent or reduce the water pollution as part of the permit. These are things like physical structures or planned vegetation, stormwater features. The BMPs are included in the grading permits, and they require schedule inspection. The first year that the grading permit is issued, there's an inspection required, and then every 3 years after that, there's an additional inspection required. That's where MES comes in. We do these inspections and we provide monthly reports to the county, and then we also send compliance or failure reports to the property owner. The inspection includes a lot of different things. They do it electronically on a tablet, but they're looking at excessive vegetation, if there's any erosion, if there's animal burrows, if there's unauthorized plantings, that's also part of the checklist. Take that as you will. If there's any seeps or leaks, any visible pollution, any degradation in the filter cloth, if the water's too high, if the water's too low, if there's sediment, even down to things like, is the appropriate signage there, if there's to keep people away from a pond for safety, if fences are there and they're supposed to be, is there graffiti? Has it been mowed? So it's a very comprehensive list of items that the staff look for when they go to inspect these BMPs. And then after they do the inspection, they take all the reports, they put together a report for the property owner and then also a report for the county. And they give the BMP a rating. And if the rating comes in at 7 or below, that means an additional inspection would be required. For the purpose of inspection, the county is basically divided into 3 sections with a current BMP inventory of over 1,300 right now. There are 1,300 active locations, and then about every year we have 50 new structures that are added to the program that we then add to the first year and every 3-year cycle. There's lots of challenges with the BMPs, and frequently the property owner, so the county is the property owner on a lot of these, but there are also private property owners on a lot of these BMPs, and they don't actually know that they own the BMP, nor do they know that they have to maintain the BMP. So usually the county's non-compliance can be addressed right away, but the property owners and their non-compliance becomes a little bit more of an issue that the county then has to deal with. Next, Pam. These are just a couple pictures. Now, the reason that private property owners don't always know that the land they purchase has BMP requirements is that what happens is a developer may come in, they may set up a homeowners association, develop a couple properties, sell them. The homeowners association goes defunct, and then the property owner actually now owns the responsibility for that BMP. BMPs that fail inspection could possibly receive enforcement actions. So we very, very frequently find homeowners they were like, I didn't know that was mine, or I didn't know I was supposed to take care of that. Part of what we're doing now is developing some
maintenance guidelines in collaboration with the county to help the homeowners, once we identify their BMP and identify the problems that it's having, to help them with information on, oh, well, you can do some mowing here, or if you see this eroding, let the county know, things like that. The picture on the top and on the left are just overgrown structures. Those are BMPs on private property. So you can see how if you bought a piece of property and has a good bit of land, you're living in your house, you had no idea that you were responsible for that, drain system back there. The picture on the bottom is actually near Piney Point Lookout. It's about 20 feet from the road. And if left unchecked, that would have ultimately undermined the road. So these inspections are really important, not just for what's happening right there, but downstream. I don't have a picture of it, but when I was talking to the staff that does these inspections, they had a really funny recent story that they went out to 2 properties. There was a stormwater pond that went between both properties. Apparently one property owner knew what they were supposed to do. It was mowed, it was clean, it was functioning properly. But if you drew a line down the property line, the other side of the exact same pond was overgrown. There was trash, it was eroding. So I don't know if those 2 neighbors weren't talking to each other or what was going on, but that is not an uncommon situation when they go out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Slatnick. Mr. Ford, Environmental Ops.
Good morning, or actually it's afternoon now, isn't it? So
Not quite yet. Don't rush the day, Tim.
So Madam Chair, you're very familiar with this program that we're going to highlight today. That's the Midshore Regional Recycling Program, affectionately known as the MERP. This is a cooperative partnership between the Caroline County, Kent County, Queen Anne's, and Talbot counties. It is separate from our agreement, the Midshore Solid Waste Agreement. This is, it was prior to 2012, wholly a 4-county agreement. In 2012, the counties asked MES to take over the management and operations of the program. Prior to that, the only thing that we did was provide the funding through a surcharge at the landfill. Which brings me to my next bullet. The program is funded through a tipping fee surcharge at Midshore 2, and secondly, through recycling commodity sales. The scope of services that we do for the 4 counties, we provide a resident recycling drop-off collection. The counties provide the sites, we provide the collection at those sites. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. We host, or the counties host, but we manage a twice-a-year household hazardous waste event that's shared among the 4 counties. So it rotates among all 4 counties. There is an electronics recycling that are done at several of the county homeowner drop-offs that we then collect or pay for. And then there's education and outreach. Next slide. So we collect approximately 3,100 tons of recyclables at 32 residential drop-offs. This is a wonderful example of how a rural county can do recycling. They don't have the benefit of scale that the larger counties have. They don't have the facilities or the funding to do the larger scale recycling programs. So 4 counties, absent curbside collection, struggle to find a way to participate in a recycling program. So this type of a program is an excellent example of how rural communities can provide that service. So under the agreement that we have with the 4 counties, the counties do designate the roll-off or the recycling locations. We'll then bring equipment in. Those are roll-off bins. Actually, not roll-off bins. They are 8-yard containers, front load containers. And then we transport, consolidate, market, and then sell those collected recyclables to the market. Next slide. So what types of outlets do we provide for the materials that we collect? First off, because these are all source separated, meaning when residents go to the recycling facility, they have individual boxes that they can put their recyclables in. The material is very, very, very clean, so it commands a high revenue for those commodities. We move the paper to Creophil fibers, mixed paper. That's an important supplier, both for Kent County, where it provides jobs, and for us as an outlet for that mixed paper. Cardboard goes to Data Guard Recycling in Bridgeville, Delaware. We run about 1,240 tons a year annually there. Cap Glass out near Pittsburgh provides a market for our glass, our collected glass. There are two types of glass that we collect, clear and Grambler. Grambler is not some mystical word. It is simply green and brown glass. And then mixed metal and plastics go to Penn Waste. So we have a container where we allow for the collection of containers. There will be both there are plastics, single-use plastic water bottles, for instance, metal and mixed paper, and those go to Penn Waste at York, in York, Pennsylvania. Next slide. Those are all bid, by the way. We bid those out, and the highest bidder, highest price per unit is what wins those awards. Other programs that we offer, the counties, again, I mentioned earlier, household hazardous waste events. Those are very successful, very popular among the 4 counties. There are 2 household hazardous waste events per year, again, that rotate among the 4 counties. And again, very, very popular. Electronics recycling is offered at certain homeowner drop-off sites that the counties provide and throughout the Midshore region. Those are computers, flat screens, TVs, etc. And then we do education outreach where we'll engage in recycling education at local schools, festivals. And we provide recycling services at certain regional events such as the Waterfowl Festival. And if you were at any of the state annual state events, you would find that we also provide the recycling there as well. And I believe that might be it. At the last slide. No, there's a picture there. That is a front-end collection vehicle with our three employees that provide the service.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
You're welcome.
Is Ms. Dolinar still in the room to introduce the next presentation?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so Ms. Dolinar, this is your last one, right?
Yeah, I know. I had planned to have Kenna and Amy do these presentations, and there's a couple bumps, and I still wanted them to do it because it's a good presentation, and Kenna has been one of the environmental dredging and restoration division chiefs for quite a while. I've relied on her heavily, just as I have with Amy, and she oversees the 3 sections of the site operations, environmental operations, and then also environmental planning services. So thank you, Kenna. Take it away.
Thanks, Marty. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about our innovative reuse program that we do in EDR in support of Maryland Port Administration. The Maryland Port Administration partners with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to maintain 150 nautical miles of the navigation channels across Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware. As you can see here on the map, there's the orange and green. That's the 50-foot channel that allows vessels that draft up to 50 feet enter into the Baltimore Harbor, which is the little bit of blue up there on the left. And then the yellow are the northern approach channels that allow for a 35-foot drafting vessel to enter into the Port of Baltimore. Next slide, please. So the focus today will be on the management of the dredge material within the Baltimore Harbor channels and the innovative reuse and beneficial use programs in EDR supported by our environmental services group. The Baltimore Harbor channels material is defined by the state law as material to be to the northwest of the North Point Rock Point line there. And you can't really see it, but it is a dotted line there and then goes into the blue section right there. Anything within this area is supposed to be placed within a confined manner. So the 2 DMCS or dredge material containment facilities we have within the harbor are Masonville and Cox Creek. State law mandates a 20-year rolling plan be developed so to ensure adequate capacity for placement of dredge material from within the harbor and outside the harbor. So the capacity for the harbor for Masonville and Cox Creek for the 20-year rolling plan is 22.3 million cubic yards. We need 22.5 million cubic yards in order to have enough in the 20-year rolling plan for capacity planning. Next slide, please. Oh, switched around. That looks a little better than what I had. So first we need to define what innovative reuse and beneficial use is. So because in Maryland, there's different statutory definitions for each. So innovative reuse is the use of dredge material in the development or manufacturing of commercial, industrial, horticultural, agricultural, or other products. In other words, upland applications. And that's the lightweight aggregate is a picture of one of the ways we can use reuse dredge material. And that's like construction material. Beneficial use is the use of dredge material for the restoration of underwater grasses, island restoration, stabilization of eroding shorelines, the creation or restoration of wetlands, which everybody I think knows Poplar in here is a great example of a large-scale BU project. And then in coordination with MPA and supported by MES, the Maryland Department of the Environment released the Innovative Reuse and Beneficial Use of Dredge Material Guidance document in 2017. The document establishes a clear, predictable, transparent regulatory process that facilitates innovative reuse and beneficial use in Maryland while protecting the environment and human health. Next slide, please. So this slide briefly introduces the 4 categories that the IRBU guidance document categorizes the material in once it's sampled for. Most of the material within the harbor falls into the category 2. We can also mix it with other material like topsoil or something like that that can bring it into the category 1 for that higher standard use, something like a wetland restoration with upland or shoreline uses. Next slide. So the Cox Creek Sediment Technology and Reuse or STAR facility that's adjacent to the Cox Creek DMCF will help the capacity and demand planning beyond the 20-year time frame that's required by the state of Maryland. A master plan has been developed to identify the short-term and long-term goals for the IRBU program. The IRBU capacity planning is the 1.2 million cubic yards over the next 5 years, or what they're calling the scale up period. The scale up period includes a phased remediation of the STAR facility as well as site development that's needed in preparation to start having dredge material brought over and dewatered over there. So fiscal year 26 is the startup of that, and then the idea is each year it'll be increasingly processing more dredge material as the fiscal years go on. So the Maryland Port Administration also, to help in this process, recently issued a request for information to determine the market interest to design, build, finance, operate, maintain, or a combination thereof of a large-scale IRBU facility on the STAR facility. So this could be like a cement making process or something like that. And then all of those proposals or requests for information are due December 19th of 2025. And finally, seen here, the 2 pictures on the right are the large scale GO2 project that's currently going on at the Cox Creek DMCF right now in what we call the upland cell. It's going to process up to 162,000 cubic yards of innovatively IR material is what we call it. And then it will be stockpiled on other sites in order to be then hauled somewhere else for use after that. And then on the left is a picture of a shoreline stabilization structure that's done by Northgate Environmental. They're also doing concrete barriers. This is a result of 9 R&D projects that have showed promise throughout the last 5 years, I think, that they've been looking at different ways of using dredge material. That's it. Unless anybody has questions or anything.
Thank you. Are there any questions for any of our presenters? Okay, thank you very much. And I did slide over the old or new business slide, so I do want to throw it out there. Is there any old or new business to discuss? Okay, hearing none. The upcoming meeting schedule. Our next full board meeting is October 30th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. However, at the previous Thursday on October 23rd, 2025, we do have an audit committee meeting at 9:30 a.m. I'd like to thank everybody for being here with us today. It was good to see everybody, and thank you to those that are new joining us. And I will see you in a month.
Great day.